Jeff. This is a demo video on the kind of 3D renderers of After Effects. And this is the beginning of a series of videos on how to deal with 3D objects, actual things with form, in the native After Effects environment. So first, we need to talk about something called the renderers. And every composition allows you to select a renderer. And the renders that we've been working with by far is something called the classic 3D renderer. And you can see it right up here. It says classic 3D. You can click on it and that'll bring up your composition settings. Remember, this is the composition settings from like when you make a new project. And here you can select classic, or you can select Cinema 4D. I'm not going to select that now because I've got other stuff kind of queued up. But the classic renderer allows you to have 3D, but it is really the 2.5 3D. So here is a 2.5D animation of the word typography. Notice everything is flat, and it just kind of are animated flat objects. So it is 2.5D. So the objects themselves don't have dimension. So on this second one, notice I have selected the Cinema 4D renderer. And this allows, I put in a point of light, and under typography, there is geometry options. So when you turn on the Cinema 4D renderer, you get something called geometry options, and you can choose things like extrusion depth, etc. So I have chosen to have an extrusion depth. So now this exact same text has a, oops, there we go. It has some thickness to it. So it's actually three-dimensional. The objects themselves have three-dimensional form as opposed to just flat space. They also have things on here called material options. And these material options, which we played with in the classic, allow for more intense like shininess. You can turn up specular shininess. I'm not adjusting this because this is already rendered and I don't want you to have to wait for things being rendered. So you can kind of see as things fly in, you're seeing some reflection of one letter on top of the other. So that's something else that you can get with the Cinema 4D renderer. Additionally, you can extrude objects. Like here I have extruded a couple of circles and then animated a trim path and rotated the whole thing. And so I can kind of get the beginning of kind of a logo look simply by, let's play that one more time. Go back to the beginning. By extruding and animating the extruded vector graphics that I've already put in there. Another thing that you can do with this is, for example, here I have created a very simple animation, and that's one composition, and I've brought into this next composition. I've brought that comp 5 into comp 6, and I have given it not only 3 dimensions, but I have, in the geometry options, I've added something called curvature. So I can play back that flat animation and have it not only with some depth, but have it to cast shadows. So these are some of the things that the Cinema 4D renderer can do. But you're going to have to pay attention. This can really, really start bogging down your computer. So you're going to want to pay attention to how you have this rendering setting. So I'm going to click up. There's this little wrench right next to Cinema 4D. And all these right now have been on draft. So they're actually on the lightest setting. So I would say go ahead and keep it at draft as long as you are working. But remember, when you are about to render your final, you'll want to take this slider up to just a little bit more than half, at least 54, or at least 51, but something around there. And that's going to get you the highest quality image. So there'll be no aliasing, meaning there'll be no little jagged edges on it'll be less jagged edges like displayed right here. So uh, essentially, you need to realize that that you can change the renderer from classic 3D to Cinema 4D, and that's going to give you a lot of extra features. You're also going to be able to change the quality of that renderer from draft down here, where you can basically see a quick version, to more high quality when you are ready to render it. So that's what you really need to pay attention to in order to get through this next sequence on how to do 3D objects natively in After Effects.